Okay, everybody, today I'm back on this. I'm waiting on parts for the BMW, so I'm actually caught up. So I'm gonna get on this. I gotta fix the frame. If you remember, the frame is rusted out pretty bad. I'm gonna have to cut all this out and put new in there. And I have the replacement pieces right here. I've had them for a while, as you can tell by all the dust that's gathered on top of them. I've got the replacement pieces to do both sides. I'm gonna replace the rear part of the frame and then all the way up to about here on the front. I have shocks to put on the rear, shocks to put all the way around, and I'm raising it. I have a 2-inch lift for the front and rear. So what I might do is just go ahead and start on the front, get it jacked up, the wheels off of it, go ahead and do the shocks and the 2-inch lift on the front, and then move to the rear, because there's a lot more to do on the rear, you know, by cutting all that frame out and welding the new stuff in there. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, get started on today. Get on this Jeep. I also got new wheels and tires for the Jeep. If you remember, you look back through my shorts a long time ago, I posted I got these tires here. Well, these two just match the two that's on the front. BF Goodrich 311050s, and then I bought some new wheels right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 right there, and that's the lug nuts for them. So I'm gonna have to run the wheels and tires up and get them mounted and balanced. And then I'm gonna take one of these wheels here, probably this one, and use for the spare. And then I'll just take these wheels and put them on Marketplace or something and sell them, because I really don't need them sitting around here. I'm not that big of a fan of those wheels. I mean, they look okay, but you know, I'm just not that big a fan. I wanted and these are 8-inch wheels that's on here. I wanted 10s, so that's what I've got. I've got 4 15 by 10s and gonna raise it up 2 inches. So let's get started. All right, we gotta start by getting the wheel and tire off. 19mm on the lug nuts. Get that wheel off. See, the frame up here looks pretty good. I'll spray all of this with some rust stuff to stop any rust. But the rust in the frame comes all the way up to here. So I'm replacing from here all the way back. I'm gonna take the springs out, which I have to anyway to do the lift. So yeah, let's do it. Got to take the shock loose. Taking the shock loose right here. The bolt goes down through here. 13mm nut. There's 2 of those. Anytime you're dealing with rusted nuts, it's a good idea to spray them down with some PB Blaster or WD-40, some kind of penetrating oil. Okay, now we got both of those lower shock bolts out. Okay, I'm taking this sway bar end link loose, and that will allow the axle to drop down since I've got the shock loose. And this bolt is an 18 millimeter. Okay, once you get the sway bar end link loose and the shock loose, you can drop the jack and this will fall down. One thing I forgot is there's a 13 millimeter bolt right here that holds the spring to the perch. So I'm gonna have to get that 13 millimeter bolt out right there. Then the spring should come right out. One other thing I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to try to cut this shock out of here because it just spins up there, and this is not lined up with a hole to where I can get on it up there. I replaced these fenders with aftermarket fenders, and you know, when you get aftermarket shit, it's just, it don't line up perfect. So I'm gonna have to cut this, try to cut that rubber out of there and cut that shaft off underneath that to get this shock out, because it's not wanting to come out. So give me a few minutes. Just to give a little insight into what I'm doing here, I am cutting the shaft of this shock so I can get it the hell out of the way, so I can get that bolt out down there. Then I'm gonna take a sawzall and cut that rubber piece out of there, and then cut that shaft off just below the mounting point so I can get all this out. It's just the joys of messing with rusted garbage. And there you have it. One old rusted old shock out of there. Now I'll take this bolt loose so I can get the spring out. Now you have, I'm gonna cut this piece of rubber out right here so I can get a sawzall blade in there and cut that shaft on this thing. And then now I can get this bolt out here so it'll release the spring, so I can get the spring out and get this out, because this piece goes right up in there. It's going to drop the spring down 2 inches. So that's where I'm at. Okay, now I've got this little keeper out that goes right here that holds in the spring, 13 millimeter bolt. It just came right out. Now I should be able to let the jack down, and that this axle will fall down, and I'll be able to get the spring out. Okay, once I got the bump stop out, this piece here goes right there, has a 15 millimeter bolt, which I'm gonna have to get a new bolt because that one's gone, right up through there. So once I got that out, I was able to push down on the axle and push the spring out through here. Just pushed it back through here. So now I'm gonna take a wire wheel and clean everything up and paint it. I'm gonna clean up the spring and paint it. Then I gotta finish getting out this piece for the shock, and then I'll start putting this side back together. Minus, I still have to run and get some pads and rotors for the front brakes, which I may wait and do that tomorrow. Once I get all this back together, then I'll do that. Okay, now it's time for wire wheeling. I've got an assortment of them down here. Just gonna hit everything, clean it up, then paint it, and get it ready to go back together. Mask on. Don't want to breathe that crap in. Let's get after it. Okay, I finished wire wheeling, and then I went ahead and painted everything flat black. I'll get all of that later. I've put the block on here. This is a 2-inch lift block, and this piece right here was up here. You just pull that off, put it on the bottom of your block, and then stick it back up there, just like that. Then you'll put your spring up, and then that gives you your 2-inch lift. So now I'm just waiting on the spring to dry. I've painted the spring right there, and then I also went ahead and painted the shock. And I'm cleaning up the red boots to put back on the shocks. So I'll be putting it back together here in just a few minutes, and then jumping to the other side. Okay, now I'm getting ready to put the spring back in. If I can get it in there. Okay, I got the spring back in there. I had to get a little I used my porta power, and I just put this little foot here right there and put the top of it right up underneath the frame here and pushed the axle down until I got it down far enough to be able to slide the spring back in there. Now I gotta clean this up, paint it, put it back in there to hold the spring in place. Then I'll jack the axle back up, go ahead and put the shock in place, get the sway bar end link on, and then we should be ready to go. I'm gonna stick the shock back in here. Got the lower washer and bushing on there. Slide it up through the hole. Put the upper washer and bushing on there. And then the nut. This back on to hold the spring in. Put the bolt in. Just like that. Now we got the sway bar end link back on right there. Just slide the washer on, put the bolt on. And we'll tighten down that bolt and we should be good to go. I have to replace this cup. You know, I'm probably gonna have to let it back down again. This is just ate up with rust too bad. It's coming apart on the inside, and the bump stop is just in pieces, falling apart. So I'm gonna have to order another cup and a bump stop for you. I'll do it for both sides. This goes in here like this. Just slide that up on there like that. And that's your 2-inch lift right there. Okay, I'm gonna use my, like I did on the other side, use my porta power to push down on this. push the axle down so I can get the spring back in it. Lord have mercy. Okay. Let's see. Okay, shock's in, the spring's in, everything's painted, looking halfway decent. Put the wheel on it. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, check out the website rossrodshop.com. I'll see you guys next time.